Good morning, members. Welcome to the fourth meeting of the Standards, Procedures and Public Appointments Committee in 2013. Could I remind members to turn off mobile phones and Blackberries and so on. We can move on to apologies. We have apologies from Brian Adam, and George Adam is sitting in his place. If we can now go to agenda item number 1. That's for the committee to decide whether to take agenda items 4, 5 and 6 in private. These items deal with a paper on post-legislative scrutiny, a paper on our approach to the review of parliamentary reform, and a paper for the committee to consider our approach to procedures for consideration of SPSO special reports. Do members agree to take these items in private? Thank you very much. Welcome. The next item on the agenda, agenda item 2, cross-party groups. It's for the committee to take evidence from Margaret McCulloch on the proposed cross-party group on towns and town centres. So you have the paper in front of you, and Margaret is with us. So do members have any questions on this application? Dick?
Good morning, Ms McCulloch. Can you inform me, in reading your registration form, I have to compliment you. I think it's excellent. It has been certainly along the lines that the committee has wanted. In regards to item 1, paragraph 1, you say to analyse policy prescriptions and develop ideas and innovations. What do you mean by policy prescriptions?
Well, the Scottish Government and also the Westminster Government have actually got reviews out about towns and town centres. We're waiting on Malcolm Fraser, who is conducting the review on behalf of the Scottish Government, to produce that review. So we'll be looking at that as well, and any ideas and suggestions from that, and also from the Westminster Government, to look at how we can actually put some life back into the town centres and towns.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions from members? Could I? Sorry, Helen.
Yes, I just was wondering. Good morning, Margaret. Just to find out if you know why, under point number 2, it says there is no overlap with other cross-party groups. Angus MacDonald, MSP, had an initial meeting to look at starting a group, but he didn't proceed with it. Do you have any idea why that was the case?
Yeah, I actually phoned him and spoke to him about it to ask him why, and really his workload didn't allow it, so he didn't take it any further forward. I was initially concerned in case there wasn't an interest in it, but that wasn't the case.
Thank you very much.
Could I maybe ask Margaret, in your purpose, the third point, where you say the group will consider how best to take forward recommendations from the town centre review and the government's regeneration strategy. I just wondered, given that that is a particular review which will be time sensitive in the sense that once it's done and looked at, it'll then be in the past, but it would remain as part of your purpose despite the fact that you will have dealt with it maybe over the next 6 months or whatever. Do you feel that it needs to stay in the purpose, or would it not be better under item 3, basically issues to be addressed by the group, you know, as part of your agenda, rather than your purpose?
Yeah, I'm quite happy to move it there. I don't have a problem with it. That's quite a good idea. Yeah, we'll move it to that.
You'd be quite content to do that?
Absolutely, yeah, no problem.
Okay, well, we'll make a note of that and we'll amend the form accordingly. And one final thing from myself, in terms of financial benefits that you've declared, I see you've calculated the benefits in terms of the secretarial costs provided by Scotland's Towns Partnership at £360 plus £100 for sundry expenses, which is £460, which is below the £500 limit. But I just wondered if any calculation had been done in terms of not just the person attending the group and doing the minutes and so on, but in organising the meetings beforehand and chasing people up and then following up. There may well be, you know, a couple of hours a week or more spent by that person out with the actual meetings.
I think actually we sort of with 3 hours per meeting, we don't envisage the meetings to last longer than, say, 2 hours. So the hour that I've included in that as the 3 hours would be the admin work before and after. But we could monitor, and if it does actually, we feel as if it's actually creeping up, then we would sort of inform you and give you an up-to-date information regarding the financial side of it.
Okay, well, that would be very helpful, actually, if you would do that, just to ascertain exactly, because you're not going to know until you start exactly how much time the person is going to spend, I suppose. So that would be very useful for us, and it would also be a good marker in terms of, you know, other committees, you know, to help us in relation to this in the future. So that's fine. Any other members have any other points? No points. Well, thank you very much, Margaret, for that. That's excellent. Thank you. Now, we'll now move on to decide whether the cross-party group on towns and town centres is actually recognised, and Margaret is just leaving the committee room whilst we do that. Helen.
Convener, I'm quite happy to endorse that this be established. I mean, I seem to recall that there was one in the parliamentary session previously, and I thought that it was really very important, given you know, that there are problems up and down the length and breadth of Scotland, not of any particular governments making. So I'm not making any party political point there, but I just really feel that the more that we can all work together to try to you know, reinvigorate our town centres, then that would be a especially good thing. I know that in my own area, in Cowdenbeath, there's something like 41 shop fronts lying empty, and that is just in the one high street, setting aside all the others. And so, you know, from that perspective, I mean, I didn't sign up for the group just simply because of, as Margaret said, pressure of work, but it doesn't mean to say that I couldn't just dip in and out of the meetings as and when I can make the time available. But I didn't want to overcommit myself, but I feel it's a really worthwhile organisation to have in the Parliament.
Yes, okay, thank you. Dick?
Convener, I certainly agree with Helen. I think basically the situation is that the application is, I would suggest, has been done to the standard that we require. It is a subject which is close to my heart, the same as Helen's. Again, we have to say that, unfortunately, you know, this is a wide breadth throughout the whole, both England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales. You know, town centres are feeling the pinch purely because footfall is not coming into town centres, and people all too often now are going onto the internet, and I think, you know, you see it on the television quite a lot that town centres are under problem. So a group which I think would possibly concentrate on the subject of that, it doesn't affect any other group, cross-party group in the Parliament, and I would certainly agree that that we do pass this application.
Any other comments? Fiona?
I'm happy to accept this. I wanted to comment on the fact that I thought it was an excellent application from the point of view of just the procedure of it. One thing to ask, though, is I noticed that some of the boxes were slightly mixed up in the way that it was filled in, and this is not it's a question to ask if it's the way that the computer works when you're filling it in online. For example, organisations and individuals were in the wrong bits. So it was just to make sure that it's not the website that kind of forces you to fill it in.
That's a very good point, and the clerks can look into that and just check how the system is actually working. George?
I just want to say I think it's an excellent cross-party group to have because it is an important issue. I can say that from experience in Paisley. Every time the media want to look at a high street, they just leave Glasgow and drive down to Paisley High Street and take a picture every single time. So it's an important issue for me in my constituency, and it's probably a group I'll probably more than dip in and dip out of. I'll probably go quite regularly and to go to, so I think it's quite a good one.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Well, it looks as if we're agreed that the application should be approved. I think it is, like yourselves, a very good application, and could maybe be other people, you know, who are applying for groups could maybe be pointed towards it to give them an example of where we want to go in terms of the comprehensive information that we need when we're making these decisions. So thank you then. The cross-party group on towns and town centres has been approved. If we now move into private session for the rest of the meeting.